Good morning, afternoon, and good evening, everyone. This is episode 2 of Combo Number 2. I'm Tom Flores,
I'm headache induced Travis,
and we're going to be talking about The Revenant.
directed by Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu, who also wrote the screenplay with Mark L. Smith, based in part, whatever the fuck that means, on
I
the
think
book.
I think it was they just took part of the book, or maybe like the whole kind of the
Like
aspect.
the first 5 chapters, and then just
Well,
wrote the
if you think
ending.
about kind of like There Will Be Blood, how they were
Yeah,
based off of oil.
that's what I was
I
thinking.
think it's just they took either the overall theme, the underlying theme, the backdrop, or half or
I remember
part
it
of a
was like they
chapter.
took the first like Paul Thomas Anderson took like the first chapter or two, and then just wrote everything else.
So I
Out of his
think
head.
that's what they did, like in parts of they probably since if I remember how I saw the credits right, it said based off of. So he's saying based part of. It was probably like a certain theme they took from the novel.
Maybe I know the novel was titled The Revenant, and
Maybe that
I think
idea.
it told the same story, but I don't know. Maybe they
Oh,
wrote a different ending or something. Anyway, some guy named Michael Punke, I don't know how you pronounce his last name, wrote it. Stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hardy, Donald Gleason, and whoever that kid with the eyebrows
he
from
played
the Maze
Bridger. He
Runner
played Bridger,
with
right?
Mr. Yeah, Pritchard or
Bridger.
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 Pritchard.
I was surprised
He was
by
pretty good.
how vital his character was to the story. I
Yeah,
thought he was just gonna be like, oh hey, it's that actor in here. Okay, cool. He's just gonna be like one of the
he
other
actually had a
trappers.
big part in
He
the
had
movie.
a pretty crucial role. He was definitely one of the characters driven by moral and conscience.
Mm-hmm.
But a little more weaker character. I mean, yes, he's a kid amongst all these men. He was the only kid. But overall, though, so we just saw this movie. It's been out for a little over a week, I believe. A
Like
week.
wide release for over a week. It's been out in. It was first released like towards the end of December because you got to get it in that Oscar eligibility period, and it apparently worked considering it's the front runner with 12 nominees, more nominees than any other movie this year.
It got nominated for Best Picture, Best Lead Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Director, Cinematography, Editing, Production Design, Costume Design.
And then makeup and hairstyling, sound mixing, sound editing, and visual effects.
And yeah, so it's got 12 nominations. That's the most out of all of them right now for movies.
Mm-hmm.
I can see why it's been nominated so much, but overall, I don't think it was as great and astounding as everyone's talking about. I think it was a good movie. It was a good movie,
Yeah, very good.
but not like great. Like
It's
I'm glad I saw it.
for me. It was like one of those movies you watch to actually watch it, like like just a movie for your eyes, and big credit goes to Emmanuel Lubezki, the cinematographer.
Oh, that was beautiful.
This guy, after I've seen 3 movies with his cinematography now, Gravity, Birdman, and now this. And first of all, this guy loves long takes, and he knows how to do them really well. In fact, let's talk about that opening scene, which reminded me a lot of the opening scene from Saving Private Ryan, because it starts with this brutal attack that
on a beach too, on a beach head.
On a beach, yeah. Except they're running
away
out from the beach.
Yeah, so it was like it was a beachhead. It was on the shore of the river, because it all takes place more near bodies of water. It takes place near our rivers, lakes, and streams. And yeah, it was. Travis said that, and during the movie, it's like, hey, it's kind of like Saving Private Ryan. I'm like, holy crap, it is just running away from the beachhead.
Yeah, and in some ways, it was more brutal than the Saving Private Ryan scene in that because they used a lot of long takes, the long takes that moved around, and therefore, whereas Saving Private Ryan, it was more, the cuts were a little more conventional. They used a lot more handheld, and sometimes they just cut to like that shot of that one guy with his intestines spilling out, calling for his mama.
Yeah. This one they kept it rolling and just had picked up characters here and there and just followed it from. Basically, the setup of the scene was.
You didn't see too many like cheat cuts or anything to show people getting impaled by arrows.
Now, this movie was different from Alejandro's Birdman because it wasn't all just long takes or to look like one take. There was a sprinkling of long takes, I would say. Like a good sprinkle of long takes. Most of them are just kind of, cut like a normal movie, cut and paste kind of stuff. But when it sets up, it opens up with DiCaprio's character, Glass, with his boy Hawk. And now the thing is, DiCaprio, and this is set in colonial times, I want to say before the Revolutionary War. So this is before.
Okay, really?
Well, because the way it, oh no, because they
Fort-
say Americans. So I'm sorry. This is in the
Okay,
eight. This
yeah.
is
And
probably
Texas is a thing,
so what do you say? Before early 1800s.
probably yeah, probably like
1810, close around that area.
maybe after either before the Civil War
Oh,
or
this is
after
definitely
this.
before the Civil War
Okay,
because
before the Civil War.
because where they were at and the way the Canadians were involved and the way they were saying they're at the edge of the world. I'm gonna say it's probably early 1800, 1810 because they're still discovering America like more
Is
parts.
Texas like a? Because they referenced Texas. Was there like, and they referenced the existence of the Texas Rangers. Was that like? I mean, I'm no historian, but I'm like, wouldn't that be like after Texas became a state in 1849?
Most likely, but I think the way it was set up was to get that obviously post-revolutionary feel
Yeah.
because they're still trappers. You know, the Canadians are still on their
Mhm.
borders and they're still pushing out the Indians.
Yeah.
And where they were at, definitely more up north, but to the point where it was still like we're at the edge. In their point, in these characters' world, back in time, they were at the edge of the world, edge of the known world, the frontier. And the way it was set up, I liked it is that all these characters are part of a company that goes out and traps and gets fur and fur trades and all that. So that's their source of income. And what happened is their little camp that's set up. By the way, a very poorly defended. It was like just a quick setup, like who gives a shit camp.
Yeah, it's like we just put up tents and this is where we're
It's
staying.
not even tents. There was not even tents. I didn't see a tent.
Okay, whatever.
But you know what I mean? Like it was so poorly set up that the Indians. It was the Pawnee, right? That was the tribe.
The Pawnee
tribe. They torched the people involved in that company lost the battle against the Pawnee because they were so it was poorly defended and they had them by surprise. The way it was surprise attacks. Like they would show shots of the horses going over the hill. But not coming down yet because they're still shooting with their arrows.
Yeah,
shooting. Just they were doing a lot of psychological warfare on them 1st with like doing the arrows that like overshot them, but shot a couple of their horses and the other guys on the other side because there were a couple of trees that they were hiding in, but they basically had the sense of they were surrounded. They didn't know what was going on. And then they just stormed in and took them all.
Just dropping like flies. And
yeah, and going back to what Travis said. He was right about how it was like Saving Private Ryan, but more gruesome, because one, the technology used back then was more. I mean, yes, there were muskets, there were guns, but the ammunition was a ball, and then everything else was arrows and hatchets and knives, more hand-to-hand combat stuff. And the thing is, how many times a week do they sharpen their stuff? Right?
Yeah, they have like. Stones and
whatever. It's obsidian and all that, so it's not sharpened that much. So that's why I agree with Travis. It was more gruesome because it was more medieval butchering, not killing. Like in Saving Private Ryan, they're mowing down. In Saving Private, it was mowing down bodies. In this one, it was butchering bodies, slaughtering them. That's why it was more gruesome. And the realism, the combat, the fight scenes was realistic, and that was a cool opening because what was nice for me was in the trailer we all know what this is about, right?
Yeah.
Revenge tale. This is what it's about. We know who the bad guy is. It's Tom Hardy's character, Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald, yeah.
He kills DiCaprio's son. He kills Glass's son. The son's name is Hawkeye? Was it Hawk?
It could be Hawkeye, but they just called him Hawk.
Yeah, Hawk. So he's obviously we know what the story is. It's just revenge. It's plain and simple. But going in, I was thinking like, okay, when is the story going to pick up? Because we know we saw that in the trailer, like the Pawnee kicking them out of their camp and stuff and onto the boat. It happened pretty fast. It just picked up. I like how it just when it started, it just kept going. It picked up and just moved.
Like, when are they going to get to the bear attack?
Yeah, and it moved.
And
nice.
then it got to the bear attack.
And what was cool about where they led up to the bear attack is okay. So all the survivors got on the boat, and what was an interesting character detail for both Glass and Fitzgerald was that Glass because what happened was he wasn't there at the beginning of the attack. Him and his son were out trapping. And when they hear the gunshots from the fight starting from their side, they run over. And when Glass gets there, he starts getting his men and saying, like, just leave the pelts, get to the boat. Get everyone, get to the boat, leave the pelts. And he kept repeating that over and over again. I'm like, to show his character cares more about people than the money. Because when it gets back to Fitzgerald, What's he saying?
But get the pelts. We need the pelts. We gotta keep getting the pelts.
Yeah, he was just putting on 4 bags of pelts on him. He says, grab the pelts, to show that he was more fueled by money, by greed, by what he was doing his job. So that was an interesting character detail to have right off the bat to show about these two characters to differentiate these two men, which I like. Those good detail. Yeah. So they got on the boat, and another character we're introduced to was the captain, played by
Donald Gleason, or General Hux from our last episode of Star Wars that you guys hated so much.
But I like that the captain was still a kid compared to Glass and Fitzgerald. I thought that he was still a kid, so he was definitely looking to mostly Glass, but both of them for advice, because he was a kid. Yes, he was given such a high ranking. He was a captain, but he was still a boy amongst these two men, amongst most of the men, actually.
That being said, I still didn't get I didn't get the impression that he was like he was inexperienced or anything like that. Like, he had authority, and
no, but he was. You could see. I get what you mean. Yeah, he had experience because he's done this before, but he had that shaky, nervous boy quality still. Like, he was still. It's like you might know how to shoot a gun, but when like push comes to shove, it's kind of like you got that crossing over moment.
I was gonna wonder if it was like an arc for him, because like slowly more and more. Because I remember towards the end of the movie, it's like, all right, because he was kind of a boss towards the end of the movie.
I think because he got over that. Because I mean, we don't see how they got back to the fort. Because the whole thing after the attack is that the group that survives, it was like 10 men and like 32. There was a group of like 40 something. 32 died, and there's only 10 left.
Yeah. And
so the rest of the group is trying to get back to their fort, to like back to safety, where there's like, there's safety and they're safe. And what happens is as they're traveling, Glass comes up with the idea saying that the Pawnee are going to be hunting down this boat. We need to set up a distraction where we just push the boat downriver and we make it the rest on foot. Fitzgerald character, he's against it because he wants the pelts, because they can't carry, those 10 men can't carry like what, over 100 pound of pelts on what was probably like a 4-day walk, 5-day journey. They can't do that. So what they do, so that's what's happening. That's where the division between the animosity begins with these two characters. Fitzgerald blames Glass for the attack because his involvement in his past with not the Pawnee per se, but within a Native American tribe, because Glass marries a Native American woman and gets her pregnant, has a kid. That's what his kid Hawk is. He's a mix of American and Native American. I don't think we ever get the tribe name specifically where he comes from.
Not specifically. No. I don't know if he was
Pawnee or
Pawnee
or Native or Navajo or so. Yeah, we don't get the but the point is, that's what Fitzgerald blames him for. It's like, it's your fault kind of thing, and the animosity begins. And so the captain takes Glass's plan. They get all the pelts off, and they bury him somewhere. They bury him nearby, like mark the buried place, the place where they buried him, and they push the boat away. But what was an interesting thing is that I'd say it was probably like 3 dudes who were tasked with pushing the boat into river, like getting in the boat, pushing into the river, jumping off, and meeting him up. They left, so now their numbers even go down fewer. And Fitzgerald again is getting pissed off. He's saying, because he's fueled by greed, money. He lost all his money, and he says a detail. It was quick, while he's just bitching and complaining to the group.
Yeah.
That the first 6 months I'm free, and this shit happens. So I'm led to believe I think he was a prisoner.
Okay.
Like of some sort. He was held in a cell for some reason, and now that he's free, he just wants to make money, make his mark and stuff, but he's getting, bad luck basically for everyone.
Yeah. I liked how, while we're on the subject of Fitzgerald, portrayed by Tom Hardy, I liked how consistent his accent was. I mean, he's South African, so he's kind of, it sounds like, in normal accent, kind of sounds a little British, but slightly not, at least from an American perspective like mine. And I was surprised how very consistent his Southern accent was. Of course, when I first heard it, I was like, "Oh, he's kind of doing his best Jeff Bridges impression."
That was kind of funny when you think about it, because when he said "boy" a lot, He said boy a lot.
Boy.
I was wondering. I'm like, boy. The way that's said, and how it sounds, I've heard that before. Who said that?
Jeff Bridges.
Once Travis said Jeff Bridges, I was like, duh, there you go. It was so simple. It was on the tip of my tongue. I couldn't even believe I didn't realize.
But I got over that like midway through the movie, just because of how consistent it was.
And speaking of Tom Hardy's performance, I thought, out of all these nominations, I want him to win for supporting actor because the character. His portrayal and his delivery was phenomenal. If you look at this character, you already can feel like he's the guy you just don't want to be around. You can't trust him. He's only cares about numero uno, himself.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at his face, you can see that this guy has lost his mind already before this movie picks up. I mean, throughout the movie, you see more of his loss of sanity. But already he's lost it,
mm-hmm.
and I think to add more to that, I think that's probably why they had this character scalped, and we showed and had Bridge ask Fitzgerald about the scalping he had, because we see that like about I'd say
it's like
fourths,
he has this
a little more
weird
than two,
bald spot on his head.
More than half of his skull is cut off and scarred, and he doesn't have hair, and so you look ago, is he just partially bald or has like, what was it, ticks or some kind of weird burn or
yeah, he was like scratching his hair. It's like, did he get
he got scalped. But when he said that, they took a chunk of his head away. So it's like the scalping, the remnants of the scalping shows he's already lost his mind. Because sometimes he'll say stuff like he'll be in the zone and say something, then he'll just like blink out and zone out and look around with his eyes, and you see in his eyes, this guy's bonkers. He's insane.
Yeah.
It's that and he hit that so well watching that character. I mean, he was definitely a paranoid character,
mm-hmm.
but he wasn't a dumb dude. He was smart. He wasn't dumb, but he was still he's insane from the get-go, and you see more of him going to that depth of insanity, and that's why I love this performance. That's why I'm rooting for Tom Hardy for this Oscar win, because honestly, it was just wow. Like, go watch it and look at his eyes. I read this little quick article about his performance, and it said if you pay attention to his eyes, you'll see the cogs of insanity going and growing, and that little snidbit of that critique on his more of praise on his acting is so true. I was watching his eyes the whole time. I'm like, oh my gosh, I am looking at this man, and in his eyes are the window to his mind just going deeper into insanity, and that alone, his performance alone is what's worth watching this movie. Overall, there are other things too. Yes, there are.
That cinematography.
Yes.
That should win, because I love Emmanuel Lubezki. I've seen, this is his third movie. I think I've already said this is the third movie I've seen in which Emmanuel Lubezki has been the DP, the director of photography for. And the first one was Gravity, directed by Alfonso Cuarón. And I love the long takes in that movie. But I just thought, oh, well, they probably pulled some of those off with visual effects. No, that's also because of a really talented cinematographer, because after watching Birdman, directed by this same director, that's the previous guy, Alejandro Iñárritu. Of course, that movie was special because they tried to make everything look like it was pulled off in one take.
Mm-hmm.
And you need a really talented cinematographer that is just really good with that Steadicam, and really good at, placing actors in a frame and making sure they can move around and keep the frames that you want. And they didn't quite have that challenge this time. But still, everything looked gorgeous. And of course, the big I guess you could say gimmick with this one, the previous one was like, oh, they tried to make everything look like it was done in one shot, one take. The gimmick for this one was that they've been claiming they've been using natural lighting. Now, of course, with every film set, they probably filtered the cameras a certain way when shooting. I mean, you have to. And they may have done some little color correction in post.
Okay.
But for the most part, I think what they mean was like they didn't bring any spotlights. Mm-hmm. It didn't have to use generators. Well, maybe for the charging camera batteries or something, but like they didn't have to bring generators to set up lights or anything. And That's the if that's the case, if they didn't have to bring any external lights to light everything up, which it didn't look that way. It didn't look
No,
like
not at
any
all.
characters getting lit up or anything like that. When things go dark, it doesn't look like everything's black, with the exception of the characters' faces lit up just a little bit, just enough to where you can see them. It was kind of a bluish hue, and
Yeah.
it looked beautiful.
Oh gosh, the landscape shots were phenomenal because that part of that part of our country, it was just it if you think about it, it kind of looked like it's at some moments I'm like, damn, is that really in our country? Because it looked foreign and alien, and to
Mm-hmm.
show that, and I think the way they shot that, I mean, and where they went, it looked like to me like once again hitting on that fact of this is at the edge of the world. They're on the frontier of a whole new a whole new world. I mean, to us, it's everything on this place has been like documented, named, coordinated on a chart and
We're
everything
just
and a
looking at
map, and
Atlas
yeah,
and
you
like,
could
all right,
you
it's
find it in
there.
seconds with the coordinates. But the way this was definitely new a new world. They
Mm-hmm.
were on the edge of the world, and they actually even went past the edge of the world. They went into the unknown, beyond, towards maybe towards the edge of sanity. There, like away from sanity, actually.
Yeah.
And that's why it was just so phenomenally beautiful because it was alien at the same time, but just I mean, yeah, it's obviously probably most of you have seen it who are listening to us right now. Have probably seen it on your hikes and travels across this great country. But yeah, it was to me. I'm like, gosh, I can't believe this actually exists because they shot on location. This wasn't like, oh, there's a mall now here, or there's like toxic, smoke from a couple of chimney pipes or a road or anything. No, this still is out there. You can still find pieces of land like this for miles.
And I can understand. It totally makes sense from what I heard, because I remember when this movie was coming out, and there were stories of like the production when they were actually shooting this thing was
Mm-hmm.
actually pretty brutal for the cast and crew. I can understand that, and
Oh, because it looked cold.
it
It looked
looked it looked
cold, and
so
they and
cool.
they and like the people not like the people behind the camera. They didn't get to wear like nice thick winter clothing and layers. They had to wear what they wore in colonial times.
Like if there was a canopy, I mean, I suppose maybe they have a canopy with a monitor set up, because professional film set. I don't know where they would have put it.
No.
It literally looks like they just took a camera, a really professional camera, of course, like I don't know, a Red or an Arri Alexa or whatever, and they just took it out, maybe with sound equipment, and they just took those equipment out, and then
And
they
so
just
let's do it. Let's
shot
do
in
it.
the wilderness in the middle of
Mm-hmm.
nowhere.
And to add to what Travis was saying about the natural light thing, I believe it because there was one scene where Glass gets out of the forest and he comes onto a ledge looking at a lake against this beautiful landscape. And when he's looking, the sun's kind of is on him, and the camera's moving, and you get a lens glare, but a sun glare, a lens. What would you call it? A lens glare or sun glare?
I mean, lens flare would be
Or
accurate. It'd
just
probably be from the
a
sun.
glare, but it was so.
It wasn't like a J.J. Abrams
It,
lens flare, right?
or it wasn't like
like
part of the movie. It was like
didn't look like there was a line across the screen.
it,
It
it
just
was
looked
like it looked like wow, literally this sun is glaring the lens badly because you could see the obviously little circle sunlight, but then the circle of the lens itself. And I think probably they kept that shot on purpose because on the technical side, I would never want that shot. I would redo the whole scene because it was taking away from the beauty of the shot.
They probably would have
But
fixed that.
they kept it, I think, to really hit home that yeah, we use natural light here, fellas, ladies and gentlemen. We use natural light to show that, and I think that's why they kept that.
Yeah, and it wasn't the only thing that was hitting the lens. Or
Oh yeah,
lots. Sometimes there were blood splatters that hit the lens. You see like blood drops that accidentally hit the lens. When it's a snowstorm scene, you see snowflakes hitting the lens. And of course, there's that one scene where he's on the ground and he's like breathing really hard. He's resting, and they put the camera so close to his face, you actually see breath.
he fogs it up.
He fogs up the lens.
Mm-hmm. And once again, on a
It's like
technical
they must
side,
have done that on purpose.
yeah, and on a technical side, you don't want that for a shot because it takes away from it. But once again, they think they kept on purpose to really prove, no, guys, this is as real as it gets. This is all natural stuff here. And I'm like, damn, and I'm glad they did because it was part of the experience. And so, getting back to the story, as they're on foot, they left the pelts. They buried them somewhere to get back later. They left the boat, and the group got smaller. They're walking, they're trekking through the forest and stuff, carrying some pelts, but it's mostly just ammunition, food, and water, and the clothes on their back. Glass doesn't get separated, but I think he goes out to hunt for some food for the group to kind of like get everyone in a good mood because yes, Fitzgerald doesn't like him. The captain's on Glass's side, but I think most of the group is a little more like, yeah, I don't really like you right now, Glass. I don't much care for you. So I think
don't much care for anything.
Yeah, I think he went out to go hunt, and so I think the rest of the group sleep in or just kind of just chilling in the campsite they've made for the day. He goes out hunting, and he spots a couple of cubs running by.
Grizzly bear cubs.
Yeah, and so he gets his musket and he's about to shoot. He's like, "Oh, I got some food and 2 more pelts. Why not, right?"
And then right when we were thinking,
he turns around.
Where's Mama?
Yeah, where's Mama? Indeed.
There's Mama.
And that mauling, because that's the big thing people are talking about in this movie is the bear mauling. That's
gets mauled by a bear, and it's first of all, another long take. It was like the moment it's like on. I think it's like he sees the cubs and then the camera turns around to his face.
Right when
it moves,
he hears
and
the
then
cubs.
There's the bear. Mm-hmm. The bear comes towards him, and then right from that moment on, it's still the same shot, but you just see this bear brutally mess him up.
It doesn't change, I believe, till the shot doesn't change until you see the group find him, huh? I think.
Yeah, I think it's after he.
So that's like what, 10 minutes? Almost like it felt like 10 minutes to me.
I don't know if it was quite 10 minutes, but it was pretty long, and the thing about that scene, it wasn't like a climb. It wasn't like the bear was punching him in the face, and then there was music that was obviously leading to a climax to the point where the bear is about to get the finishing blow, and then he shoots it in the face, and then boom, he's dead. But he's pretty badly injured. It was kind of an up and down, on and off kind of thing. Like, he bites him. The music's not. I don't think there was any music in that scene.
I was too focused on the mauling.
The music was pretty minimal, so if there was, I
can't really recall a soundtrack for that scene.
Yeah,
but there was beats. There was beats for it because what happened was you get the initial. He turns around, Mama Bear comes charging at him. He's not able to shoot off his musket, so the bear's on him, scratches him up, messes him up, bites a couple, his arm, breaks his ankle as we saw. Because that's a big part later on we'll get to, but messes him up and lands him back on his stomach. Mm-hmm. And Glass's character realized, I just gotta play dead. So he's playing dead, and the bear's like, oh, is he dead? And Bear starts playing with him, kind of pushes on his back, moves him, puts his paw on his head, licks some, sniffs some. It's like, okay, I guess he's dead. Walks away back to her cubs, my baby's okay. Then Glass slowly goes for his musket, crawls, but he's hurt, and he's like, oh god, he got scratched up, bear claws.
That's where you hear the first of his many wheezes. He does that for
the whole movie.
Most of the movie.
And he's like salivating, drooling a little bit, trying to get there. And he gets the musket. And he turns around, gets prepped for a shot with one hand. He's one-handing the musket. Mm-hmm. Gets ready to hit that Mama Bear. Mama Bear realizes, oh, he ain't dead. And he goes up to him right as she's about to charge. Plugs her right in the neck, as we find out later.
But that's not a KO.
No, then all of a sudden it rises up again in the beat, and she just messes him up more, bites him harder, scratches him really. A second mauling, because it was 2 maulings in one. Really, it was a 2-part mauling. The second mauling is when she really fucked him up. Mm-hmm. Because he landed on his back, because she turned him over to look at him. She licks him too and breathes on him, and then she kind of goes away, and he slowly again grabs for his knife. Part 3, and starts stabbing the bear as much as he can, but he's obviously losing.
They go down a slope, and then
before that, she backs up before he stabs her. Actually, before she pulls her knife, and the transition between the second part of the mauling to the third, she backs up, and you see her kind of staggering a little bit, breathing hard. All of a sudden, her neck's red. Lucky shot with the one handing the musket, the way he was so messed up. He got it right in the jugular. And she's just dripping. She's pouring blood almost. Mm-hmm. Like it's like the drip pouring of blood. Like that little in between of that mixture. And then she does the last charge. He stabs her. And they fall down the...
And by that time, that bear is dead.
Yeah, and they fall down the side of the hill. And it was a little bit of I'd say the comic relief of the film. He falls down and he's down there like almost dead. Like he's holding by a string, and then the bear, she falls down. She tumbles
Right
down the
on
whole
top
thing
of him.
and falls on top of him. And everyone in the audience was laughing or chuckling. I was like, that sucks.
I was like, I don't want to laugh at that, but
But then it went to sad because you see the baby cubs looking at her dead mom from above. Then it gets sad.
Yeah.
And you're like, and I was like, oh, the cubs. But then
actually reminded me of the. I don't know if any of you ever remember that Disney animated movie Brother Bear.
Oh, don't. Oh my, that was a tough scene.
It totally reminded me of that intro scene
because it was a mama bear. So.
It was a mama bear.
And it was probably close to that time frame too, if you think about it. But right?
Oh, nah, no, like
wasn't the sequel getting close?
There were mammoths during that time, so it would be like thousands of years.
Never mind, you're right. Thank you for reminding me of that. But still the concept of the mama bear. But then his group finds him because after the first gunshot going off, and they probably hear the screaming and the hollering. The baby bears don't get shot; they just get chased off. That's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
And they get that, so they see him, they go down, and what was interesting to see is as they get down to him, they pull the bear off him. They check his scars because the captain, his dad was a medic, right?
Yeah.
His dad used to be a medic, so he knows some field hand work. He knows some stuff about medicine. They take off his clothes, and you see the damage it's done. The scars are deep to the bone.
It's gross.
Yeah, deep to the bone. They're gnarly. They're brutal. They're gnarly. And what do they do automatically? He's like, so he stops the bleeding. They sew him up. He has no anesthetic. He doesn't even get alcohol.
They don't get wheezing.
And they don't even sterilize the wound. He just grabs they don't even sterilize the wound. They just grab a piece of string, some needle, and he starts just sewing him up right then and there on his back. So I think he passed out from that. I bet
he passed out. It was funny. He passed out and he says, "All right, let's use this opportunity to sew him up some more."
Yeah, and then character Bridge picks up his leg, and that's where we see his right ankle is broken. Yes, his right ankle.
Yeah.
And it's broken to where, when we find out later more, it's broken to the point of where the bone is completely severed and it's probably held together by a couple of arteries and ligaments. Sorry, Travis, you're getting a little queasy from that.
Yeah.
It's because you hear it. It doesn't break skin, but it's enough.
Ironically, I was in the theater, and probably because of the survival stuff, something about this movie was making me hungry.
Oh.
I felt so bad that, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna eat really good when I get back to Tom's house and we record this. And then
I kind of want a burger. Honestly, I was thinking of steak or burger.
Yeah.
This whole thing, some meat.
Especially when he's like, well, we'll get to that part.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Oh yeah. And so then this is where you really see Fitzgerald taking advantage of this situation because of Glass being basically incapacitated. Because yes, he's still conscious because he comes back too, but during the fight, the bear got right under his jugular. So he can't really talk. He didn't get the jugular because he didn't die from the bleeding from there, but he got right underneath the neck to a point where he still kind of lost the ability to talk.
Wheezing.
That's
so
the wheezing,
much.
yeah. So he takes the opportunity, since Glass can't defend himself, only his son, but his son is still too young to defend these men. He's a little bit of still a weaker character.
Mm-hmm.
Fitzgerald's like, the honorable thing is to take him out of his misery, do it quick, and move on, because the Pawnee are still after him. They're still hunting him. And a side note, not the whole tribe, but a good section of the Pawnee tribe is hunting down these men because they believe that they stole the chief's daughter. Because when he's trading with the French in one scene for more guns and ammo and horses, he says, "White men took my daughter. I'm going to hunt down these men and bring back my daughter." So that's why he's after them. Because they're white, they're trappers, they're after us. He thinks they have their daughter. So that's why the Pawnee are hunting them for the majority of the film.
Yeah.
And so they basically, what the group does is, the honorable thing, they make a little makeshift bed that's portable for Glass, and they carry him throughout, but it gets harder because it's snowing. They're getting tired. They're kind of cussing each other out. In some scenes, you see him like, screw this, or drop him here, like, I can't do this. And it gets to the point they're going up a mountain, and they can't carry him up. He's, one, too heavy, the bed's too heavy, and they're weary men. You can't blame them for being tired.
Yeah, so the captain's
and one guy even hurts his foot because of it.
Oh, yeah.
And so what happens is The captain comes to the point where he's like, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore, because he does have to think of the company he's working for and the men. So he's about to shoot Glass, but it comes to the point where he just can't. He can't do it. So
Mm-hmm.
instead, he says, for any man who stays, there's an extra $80 in for it, just to stay here with Glass. We'll go and come back and get help. Extra $80. Obviously, Glass's son Hawk puts his hand up and says, "Of course I'm going to do it." Then Bridge does it, another kid. And then to get more men to do it, the captain puts it up to $100. And then Glass and Hawk both say, "Hey, we'll stay here even regardless of the money. We'll give up our share for one more guy. We don't care."
Yeah.
So Fitzgerald, because he's fueled by money, by greed, he's like, "All right, I'll do it. I'll do it for money."
Yeah.
And at this point, I mean, yes, in the trailer we know he's no good intentions, but at this point, I'm thinking like, okay, maybe he's actually just really doing it for money, because he brings up the fact that he's like, hey, look, I gotta do something to make up the money because we lost all the damn pelts. So what else am I gonna do to make up this money? And guess what? I'm not only getting $100 because the other two gave up their 100. I'm getting $300. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of money back then. and that was a logical step for that character Fitzgerald. Obviously, it was backed by an underlining wanting to get some revenge himself, kill Glass because he hates him. But it made sense to me. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense because he wants to do it for the money, and he's getting $300 out of it. And he was right. He said like, well, how else am I going to get my money back and make more money?
Yeah.
And that's how this character. So he's insane, but he's a genius. He's brilliant. He's smart. He's not stupid. And that's what happens. So the majority heads out to get back to the fort. Bridge, Fitzgerald, and Glass's son are left to just stay with him until they get help. But when Bridge goes out to get water, fill up the canteens, Fitzgerald starts talking to Glass. And this is what I'm saying. Glass is smart. I mean, not Glass, sorry. Fitzgerald is smart. Because when he's talking to Glass, he's like, man, come on, let's just put you out of misery. You're hurting right now. I could do it for you. I can do it. I could smother you quick and painless, man. I'd do that for you. I trust me. I promise you, I'd do that for you. Just blink if you want me to put you out of your misery. Obviously, Glass can't talk. He can only make, what was it? Do the wheezing again? Yeah. That's all he can do. So he can't say yes or no. He can't even really shake his head. He's in so much pain and discomfort. So he says, yeah, he just says, blink. If you blink, I'll do it. Obviously, we all need to blink within like seconds. And so it becomes, a staring contest, as Travis said. And Glass holds his eyes. He holds his eyes, but what happens?
He blinks.
Right when Fitzgerald said they'll blink, I was like, oh, you son of a bitch. You're smart. You son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And so he goes to proceed to smother Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald proceeds to smother Glass, but his son gets in the way. He kills his son, stabs him to death. And then
I was surprised about that because the trailers made it seem like that I was under the impression from the trailers that they kidnap the son, and not only was he getting revenge on him being left for dead, but he was also rescuing his son. I thought that was the premise. I was actually surprised when they killed him, but I guess there was a line.
Oh, there was in the trailer. He said like he
took my son, but I guess they meant like, oh, they took his life.
But kidnapping, yeah, I get that. I get how. Okay, and so he kills him. But since he didn't kill Glass and Bridge comes back, he hides Glass's son's body. Bridge comes back, he's like, hey, how's he doing? Good. He's kind of cold right now. Like, hey, let me help you out, buddy. And Glass is like, trying to tell.
Oh, it's okay, man.
Yeah, it's okay, man. I got your. No. Yeah, he's basically trying to tell Bridge, he killed my son. Kill him. He's dangerous. He's going to kill me too. And then Bridge asks Fitzgerald, hey, where's Hawk at? I thought it was with you. Where he at? Isn't he with you? I don't know, whatever. All right. Then morning comes.
Yeah, that's where his wheezing just goes crazy. And
then morning comes, and Fitzgerald wakes up Bridge, and he says, hey, I saw 20 Pawnee. They're here. We gotta go. He's like, oh, shit. We gotta go. Crap, what about Glass? What about Hawk? What about Hawk? What? Hawk comes back. Dude, we don't know where he is. He's gone. We gotta go. All right, what about Glass? What? I mean, we leave him. What about the private? Fine, you want a private brother here. and Fitzgerald had already pre-made a grave.
Yeah.
In the snow
He's
too.
already pre-dug
So
a
he
grave.
just drags him, slams in the grave, starts burying him, standing. He's like, but he's still alive. What? He's still alive.
Well, you shoot him.
Yeah. And obviously, Fitzgerald doesn't because he can't.
Oh, you mean, not Fitzgerald.
Sorry. God, I'm sorry, folks.
Pritchard.
I am really bad with these names. Bridge. Was it Bridge or Pritchard?
I think it was Pritchard.
I think they pronounced... Okay. But...
Whatever.
He can't...
Kid with the big eyebrows.
He can't put himself up to it. So he doesn't... He just leaves him a canteen full of water. Which that canteen brings up... The thing about this movie...
That canteen pays off.
Yeah, like, there's a lot of things
I was surprised how well that paid off.
The attention to detail is really good. Except for a couple parts where the details like...
You want to talk about sound mixing or the very least the sound editing?
Yeah, the voiceover parts of something.
I don't think it should win sound editing.
No, because there like I said, the detail, the survival detail,
visual detail,
and the survival detail were on point, and beyond that, there were some things that were a little like, what's going on here? But other than that, there was good detail.
Yeah.
Because Travis is right. Canteen pays off. Pay attention to the canteen, please. Really, ladies and gentlemen, pay attention to the canteen. So after that...
I mean, it's asking you to pay attention because it has like a swirly design.
It has, yeah.
Very special design, so you should remember that.
So basically now, Fitzgerald and Pritchard... I still think it's Bridge. They become their own group. Glass is left for dead. And the other group has already made it back to the fort by now. But we presume, because we don't see the whole rest of the journey, the main group. But that group got back.
They got back. They made it.
Yeah. And so what happens is Glass comes to, he gets out of the grave, drags himself all the way over to find his kid's dead body, and he just kind of basically rests with him for about a day, it feels like.
Yeah.
But here's the attention to detail now. In the mauling, you hear the bone snapping, and then Bridge shows that his right leg near the ankle is broken off. Mm-hmm. This is where we see it because when he moves, there's a quick little dangle, and then again they show that his foot is literally broken because it's jiggling and dangling, not like a foot should.
I missed that, but yeah, you seem to notice that, and then you point out later
it did heal too fast. The thing is, his wounds do heal
because he eventually does get up because he's like, I gotta get back and I gotta go out because his whole mission, like he
is revenge. This
is
where the revenge kicks in.
Yes, and but eventually he's able to stand up. Because
but that's
how else is he going to get across?
That's within, like, this whole movie takes place, I want to say, within a week. Right? Within a week. By the end of the movie, day 6 or 7 of this movie, in the time place this movie takes, the time frame this movie, he's able to jump, walk, and fight. A bone break takes at least, like, a month or two. And when it's completely severed off, you're looking at months. Come on, like that was the one thing I'm like, I know movie magic, but if this movie's already focusing on being so real and realistic, that's a big, because his leg breaking, if anyone's leg breaks, that's a big, deep thing for anyone. Mm-hmm. That was a big thing. That's the one thing I'm like, come on, really? The one main thing? You guys, they were so good in their detail that, like I said, his neck underneath his jugular got cut. And when he goes to drink water, because the wound's so fresh, water and blood start coming out of his neck because the wound's open. And what does he do to heal it up? He cauterizes the wound.
That was the moment where I shouted in the theater.
Yeah.
we were like, oh shit, is he doing what I think he's doing?
Oh, he's doing it. Oh,
and then he sticks it to his neck and he's like,
ah! But that was such great attention to survival detail. Mm-hmm. How else is he going to drink water and survive and eat without it coming out of his neck with blood and him coughing up more blood?
Yeah.
He has to cauterize it. You do that, why are you forgetting the leg? Why are you forgetting the ankle area? You can't forget that, right?
Yeah, maybe they should have just, I don't know, made it a sprain instead. I mean, those scratches on the back.
You could just focus on that. You're right. Maybe that. Because that was one thing I was like, come on, you're going to do all this but not that?
But, that wasn't as bad as, like...
Oh, there was...
Do we want to talk about the sound?
There was one... Okay, there was... Because there's that feel of a long take and the camera just moving, and it shows a lot of the landscape while the characters will be talking, but you don't see the characters. There's one point where Fitzgerald's talking to Bridge, then it changes so quickly because you don't see the characters anymore. Just this beautiful coverage of the fort and the landscape and the mountains surrounding it. It sounded like Fitzgerald was talking over a PA system or walkie-talkie.
It sounded like no joke. It sounded like a walkie-talkie. And we were wondering,
What's
Did our theater speakers glitch?
Yeah, well,
What was
because
going
right when
on?
you saw Fitzgerald again,
Then it was clear.
and he's
Then it
talking
sounded like a
too, and
movie.
he's talking. So that was one point where I was like, "What's going on?" That was
Yeah,
really bad.
it didn't. Yeah, and it wasn't like, oh, his sound. It didn't sound like his sound was getting slightly faded. It literally sounded like
It was talking over a walk talk. Yeah,
talking
electric.
via electronic transmission. It was
Yeah,
so weird.
and I feel like before that there might have been one more. I think we just didn't catch it because I was already feeling weird about some of the voice stuff already, but that really was like in your face about it. How bad?
There were a few moments where I was like, a couple moments where it's the ADR, the additional dialogue recording, which is what you do. A lot of movies do this, in which you record a lot of your dialogue
Uh-huh.
in post. Sometimes even 10 minutes or 10 months, like that long after you finish the movie, which is a pain in the ass for the actors, which is why you absolutely have to put it in their contracts that they absolutely have to come into the studio and do that, because actors hate that, because they probably already started shooting another movie, but they got to come back and get back to that character that they've been finished playing like 10 months ago. But anyway, there were some moments where I could tell where the lips didn't quite sync with the audio well.
Yeah, and I get for DiCaprio's character that could have been off because one, he's a phenomenal actor.
Mm-hmm.
He probably is able to say and sound out words without using his lips like a ventriloquist. And since the character is hurt and damaged, he's probably just doing his best not to move his lips because he's already hurting and just talking normally.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, besides that character Glass, there were moments with the other characters where I'm like, how are they doing that without their lips moving that much?
Yeah.
It was really like, yeah, there were some of those moments, but that was the one part about the sound mixing and editing we were talking about. But now back to the story. So where we left off is Glass is now, his mission is to kill Fitzgerald. That's his only reason for living. His son's dead, so he gets himself together and he crawls, limps, walks all the way back to the fort where he knows Fitzgerald's at.
And this is like a good. You just basically summarized like a good 70 minutes or so of the movie, and I joked with him that, of course, he's nominated for a lead actor nomination.
No,
and
DiCaprio, yeah,
and everyone's saying give Leo his Oscar. Side note: where were the fangirls screaming give Peter O'Toole his Oscar? Because I feel like Leo is good. Everyone's making Leo to be like the next Peter O'Toole. He's dead now, but he never won an Oscar for any of his nominations. By the way, this is the guy, Peter O'Toole, Lawrence of Arabia, that actor. But he had like over 10 nominations for acting. Never won once in his entire lifetime, and I could say entire lifetime because rest in peace, he passed away. Anyway, I was saying last time he got nominated was for Wolf of Wall Street, in which he
phenomenal performance and movie.
Which you say like that. I remember when that movie came out, I was like, okay, this is by far his best performance in any movie. And you say it still is, but I remember thinking, when we were watching this movie, The Revenant, it's like, okay, the last time he got nominated is because he did a lot of talking. Here, he barely speaks. Most of
and in English, when he speaks, not a lot of it is in English. It's in that Native American language he picked up and learned.
Yeah, that one language where he's like, most of it's like he's talking to his son, and other times it's like he's talking to other Indians and stuff.
And a voiceover of it. A voiceover of him speaking.
That's true. Yeah.
And when the few times he speaks in English, it's not that many when you add it up together. I even kind of said jokingly to Travis, if DiCaprio won, he'd be winning again, like Robert De Niro for Godfather Part 2 for his role as young Vito. He'd be winning for not speaking that much English or speaking mostly in a foreign language. So this would be the next time in cinema history where that happens for that win. But
because over half the movie, he's just going.
Yeah, he is. He is. I mean, that's a great attention to detail because his character is still healing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, to me, because we're talking about that, because this is the 12 nomination film. So we're talking about the nominations. We're gonna be talking about it. Talking about his acting, does he deserve the nomination? Yeah.
I think it was
He did
pretty
a lot.
good.
He had to do a lot of physicality work and remember the details of all his wounds because there were so
Wow.
many. That's a lot to remember and a lot to put into
Mm.
play. So for that, yes, the win. I say no because to me the win should have been last year, Wolf of Wall Street. Because here's the thing.
Or last time, because that was actually
Sorry,
2 years ago.
last time, right?
Yeah.
Last time. Thank you for the correction. You're absolutely right. Last time because DiCaprio, as we all know, even from his first movie all the way up till now, he always puts in 110%. He's that much of a professional from the get go. 110%, man. I'm looking. To me, his win needs to be the one that is so close or at 200%. And to me, Wolf of Wall Street was the like right at there about 200%. This was another 110% movie. Nothing bad, nothing bad.
Mm-hmm.
Great, good acting, but it's still like what I expect of Leo. He's amazing. It's 110%, but to me, he should win for the 200. This, I don't think he should win. Now, like I said, Hardy, he should win. I am rooting for him all the way. For cinematography, we're rooting for. For director,
I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
I mean, it might not happen because it'd be a twice in a row win for
the director.
For the director, since he already won last year.
I don't think for picture. I think, like I said, it's a great movie. I don't think for picture. We'll get to that final rating there. For costume design, nothing really extravagant like as most costume wins, but good costumes. Production design, I say no because of the fact that they shot on location. They had a few set pieces of the camp, the boat, a couple of Native American tribes, and the fort. But other than that, they're still on set. They didn't really build from the ground up.
They were on
Beautiful.
set, more like on location and just
beautiful.
God built the set for them.
That's yeah, you're right.
God should have gotten that nomination.
Beautiful set pieces,
mm-hmm.
like the fort. I like how they did the fort. That was cool.
Fort was kind of cool, yeah.
But that was it. Makeup and hairstyling. Now Travis and I are actually arguing on that one because
it's like, wouldn't the makeup go into like all those scars he had on him, like the scar on his head, the stuff on his back?
But those get covered and just revealed here and there. Yeah, the scalping, but it's mostly you're just seeing a lot of unkempt men. Really.
Okay.
Really, but that's the one we're on the debate about. And let's see, sound mixing we were talking about. That's what we're saying because those.
I don't think so.
Yeah. The editing overall, yeah, it was great editing.
Editing was decent.
Yeah, but the visual effects, the only visual thing that was like the thing was the bear, the cubs, and there's a pack of wolves attacking buffalo.
It's probably nominated just for that bear scene alone.
Which was
I'm pretty sure that was a computer effect.
The bear was so good because they even got the little droopy bottom lip in it, like moving and just droopy with the saliva and everything and the drool. So that bear was awesome.
I'm still wondering how they pulled it off because there wasn't like any cheap cuts to where it was like close up where it could have been a guy in a bigger.
It was that long take.
It was that long take. So I'm wondering, okay, did they have a guy like a big fat guy in a green screen suit and then just? I'm wondering how they did it. Like
the drools actually reminded me. There's a quick scene of the group fighting and arguing with each other, and one guy, it's probably because it's so cold, has this huge thing of snot going from his nose all the way down to like his upper shoulder, right?
Yeah, this big long strand of snot.
And it wasn't like a little droop. It was thick, green, and just a chunky slime ball of snot. And that wasn't fake. That was actual snot that came out of his nose.
It had to have been real. Yeah.
That was awesomely hilarious. I
was glad you noticed that because I was laughing at that. I was like, did anybody else see that? Because it was in the background.
It was so great. So what happens is, sorry, and I'm going to get back to the story again.
Yeah.
Fitzgerald and Bridge get back to the fort. They get paid. Obviously, Bridge is having his, moral compass is spinning like a freaking windmill right now.
Mm-hmm.
Fitzgerald takes the money. But, as we'll notice later, again with detail for this part, Fitzgerald, we don't see the captain go into the safe to get money, but Fitzgerald watches and listens to the captain. And when he puts his hand out, because a little bit of I'd say debris kind of comes from the second-story house, he feels it, and he's like, now I know exactly where the safe is full of money in this fort, in this house. I know. Like I said, the man is a paranoid man, but he's aware. This guy's always head on a swivel, and he saw that, and he's like...
Does that pay off?
Yeah, because what happens is once a survivor of the French camp that Glass, in a sense, raids for a horse, but kills the leader and a couple other guys... I guess the rest of that Pawnee tribe that was sent out to find the daughter finished them up, and there's a French guy who's the only survivor who comes to the fort, and he
Oh
says, "This is all I have is
yeah.
this canteen of water." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" Bridge is like, "This is the one I gave Glass. Glass is alive." And Fitzgerald's like, "Oh crap!" And he is able to sneak away, breaks in the safe, steals probably like almost $1,000,
Oh yeah. Okay.
and then leaves. So yeah, that pays off because he pays attention to
I
them.
didn't notice that. I'm
And
gonna have to see that
like,
movie again to
oh yeah,
notice.
because like I said, this character is so great. There's this one scene as Bridge and Fitzgerald almost as like their last night out in the wilderness before they make it safe to the fort. They kill a couple. They kill some boar,
Mm-hmm.
and they're talking. And Fitzgerald's like, you got your head in the right place, boy. You know, you all good now?" He's like, "Yeah, I guess." And he's like, "Let me tell you something about we doing the right thing." He tells a story about his old man, and this story was interesting. He said his dad, the only things he only believed in things that he could see, kill, and eat. That's it. Didn't believe in God. But at one point, because of like basically a course of bad luck, finds himself like, I guess was it butt naked in a mud pile or something like that. He made a connection with God. He saw God. He felt God. He saw him. And then it goes into fun. Like he's being serious about this, and then it takes a funny twist because he said he found God in a squirrel. God's a squirrel, literally a big, a meaty one.
God's a big squirrel.
Like a meaty squirrel, a nice sized squirrel that he eats.
He shot and ate that son of a bitch.
Yeah. And that was like, whoa, I guess did he eat God or what's going on here? What are you talking about? What's the connection? But then after the story's over, he pulls out of a trance, looks around like paranoid and everything, and is like, "Go to sleep," and just that's it. And I think that story showed how crazy, why he's also adding on to his insanity, because his dad was loony dude too. He saw God through a scroll and ate the son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Which funny story, but shows more of the insanity.
Yeah.
And then so Glass, through his travels, trying to get back to the fort, is now being hunted a little bit by the Pawnee themselves, because once again the Pawnee think they stole his daughter. But what happens is Glass saves the daughter. The same French group that the Pawnee chief trades for pelts with for bullets and horses and guns are the ones that kidnapped his daughter. And they got her tied up. They're unfortunately abusing her physically and raping her.
Mm-hmm.
But Glass, through his moral compass, because he's such a good man, saves her.
Yep.
Saves her, gives her the horse too. And
yep, she gets the horse.
No, one horse. I think because he had a horse himself.
He had his own horse.
So he gives her he sold 2 horses just so she can get home safe. And so he's on his horse, and one night, as he's sleeping, he wakes up. The Pawnee tribe catches up with him, and he gets chased off a cliff, falls through a tree, survives that.
Somehow.
Horse doesn't, because the horse's head is gone. But this was kind of a little bit of a funny moment for us, because we are Star Wars fans. It turns into the Hoth scene, but rated R. To survive, which is a smart survival tip, he guts open the horse, takes out all its innards and intestines. This is where we get hungry, because there's a lot of meat pulling out. You see the liver, the heart, the stomach.
It's probably breakfast.
And then he gets stripped butt naked, goes into the gutted horse, and stays in there for warmth. He survives the storm because the blizzard catches up with him. The backdrop is
just like Luke and the Tauntaun.
Literally, that's what I was like, oh, hey, it's Hoth. That's what made us laugh. But he survives the night, gets out, goes back on his journey, runs into another Pawnee, but his tribe was killed by another Indian tribe, so he's by himself. But another more kind of hungry moment is he eats a buffalo. This Native American eats a buffalo raw. Bloody, gory, and just eating it. And when Glass comes up and says, food, like, but he does hand gestures. He puts his hand to his mouth because he still can't talk yet. He's still healing.
This is like the first time we've heard him speak.
He really, yeah. I thought it was interesting is that he threw him the liver. The Native American threw Glass the liver, and what I've been told is that liver is always the most, like, when you're hunting, they say that, like, wolves, the leader of the pack eats the liver because it has the most, like, nutrition. There's something I heard about that from I think it was a National Geographic episode about wolves. And I thought that was an interesting little thing. Like, hey, wow, he gave him the liver. That was interesting because the liver is where it's at. Liver is where it's at, folks. So he does that. the Native American helps him even during another blizzard because the whole thing is in the backdrop of the wilderness, but during winter. So it's cold. It's so cold that leaves turn into popsicles. They see there's a shot of a leaf and a popsicle, basically. Yep. He makes him a little fort and like heats up rocks and throws the rocks. No, makes him a little tent. And he heats up rocks and throws the rocks in the tent, throws ice on him to steam up the tent he made for him, so he survives. He obviously leaves him because this man's got his own mission besides Glass, so he just helps him out. Glass survives another day. Fortunately, though, when he runs into the man again, he's dead, hung up by a tree. It's unfortunate because the guy helped him out, but
apparently
because
the French guys got to him.
Yeah, the French guys did, but it shows unfortunately that if he didn't help Glass, he'd still be alive.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is that French survivor gets to the fort where everyone's at, and they find where it is, and they realize Glass is alive. So the main group with the captain and Bridge goes out to find Glass. This was another cool shot of natural lighting. The only light, because they're at night, is the torches each man carries.
And the torches, and of course then you see the trees illuminated in front of them.
And it was such a cool shot. Those torches were phenomenal with the lighting, because you see their breath. Like smoke, like all these. Every time these men breathe, it's like smoke from a chimney. That's how cold it is. Especially when he cut open the horse, steam came out. It was all about steam. It was awesome.
Oh, I forgot.
And so they find Glass, and then the captain realizes Fitzgerald lied. So they come back rushing in. The captain's got his musket out, is like screaming out Fitzgerald's name. One of his like close friends says he left for Texas because Fitzgerald was talking about Texas most of the time. So he's like, damn it. Rangers. That's where the captain goes to back to his house and realizes the safe was raided. The main group comes back. Captain starts beating up on Bridge because he lied too. And the kid's like, I'm sorry, I didn't. It was Fitzgerald. He lied.
And he felt so bad for him because you realize, if he countered Fitzgerald might have just shot him.
Yeah, and then obviously Glass stands by Bridge saying, he's not telling the truth. He was a kid. He couldn't do anything. I understand it. I understand why he went along with the lie. He would have been shot.
Mm-hmm.
Get the kid out of the prison cell. He's good. So him and the captain go on a hunt. And the captain, before they do, they go out to hunt down Fitzgerald and bring him in. The captain's like, dude, you need to rest. He's like, dude, this is all I got. He took my son away from me. The only thing why I was living, because his wife is dead. This is all I got. I'm going to kill this. This is all I got.
His wife and son is dead. So that is all he's got.
All right. So they go out hunting for him. And what was interesting in the overallness of the movie, because you see this, kind of Glass is also losing himself a little bit too mentally, because he gets a lot of flashbacks from where the tribe he used to be with, his wife getting killed by the French army. And
he sees some weird things. Like he sees his wife floating. Then he saw when his wife got shot. He saw her carcass.
And then a baby hawk comes out of her chest, which was like
from the bullet wounds.
Yeah,
that was weird.
And it was weird. If I saw that to my dead wife, I'd be like, I am leaving now. But obviously, Travis pointed out in the theater, it's symbolism because now the wife is a bird watching over him.
I just pointed out it was obviously symbolism for something because I'm sure that never actually happened. You're the one that figured
the symbolism. Bird. You point out the symbolism part, and that's where I made the connection. Because what happens is there's a lot of shots there's a lot of shots of the camera looking up at the trees, and you hear the wife's voice a lot in her Native American tongue speaking to Glass, and that's where I'm like, it's to show that she is now a bird, and she'll be watching over her husband and son for as long as they both live. Obviously, when the son dies, she's just looking over Glass now. I think that's what the symbolism of the hawk coming out. She's looking over him now because back then, the only ones that looked over you was guarding birds. Mm-hmm. No one had planes or helicopters.
Or the NSA.
And there's another flashback when in church, which was really interesting and kind of trippy and weird. Because at first I thought they were in the middle of a cave with cave drawings, but nope, it was...
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, there's some...
I thought it turned into Indiana Jones for a second.
Because again, with the voice, with the voice recordings and stuff, it was so weird because there's a lot of flashbacks that didn't make sense. You're hearing a lot of voices that are happening that are in the character's head that we're hearing. So it was not only Fitzgerald who lost his mind, but Glass at this point is beginning to lose his sanity. So they're going down to hunt down Fitzgerald. They split up. And the captain runs into Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald kills the captain and scalps him.
Yeah, he doesn't just kill him, he scalps him.
Yeah. So Glass runs back and he finds the scalp captain. He's like, damn. Puts the dead captain on the horse and he keeps going on his mission. And here was a cool thing. Awesome, like I said, awesome detail. This is why I think the screenplay should have been nominated for this because
Well, the screenplay wasn't nominated.
no, but it was a great. This was a great
Okay.
writing because what Glass does is he finds a branch he cuts down, and what he does is because he has two horses, he dresses up the captain as him, takes off his clothes, changes clothes with the dead captain, and has the captain perched up on the horse with the branch behind him to stand him up, and then he pretends to be the dead captain in the captain's clothes. So when we get back to Fitzgerald has them both down the barrel of his sights, and he sees what is perceived to be Glass on the horse in the front, shoots him, body falls, runs up to him, sees that it's the captain after he takes off all the stuff covering him, and then Glass is hiding on, like, pretending to be dead on the horse, gets a pistol, shoots him in the arm, gets a shot, and that's where the chase begins, where they're shooting each other. And where it all ends in hand-to-hand combat. Glass with a hatchet, Fitzgerald with a knife. It was a very well choreographed fight scene. They're stabbing each other, hacking each other, beating each other up, biting each other's ears off, straining each other.
Camera's up close, but it's smooth, and there's not a whole lot of cutting in between.
Just of themselves.
It's not like a BS shaky cam fight that you see in some average action movie.
Yeah, no, this was really well. This was an intimate fight.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. The brutality came from its intimacy because it was just between two men, and once again hitting on this. What I loved about this movie, hitting on two men duking it out beyond the edge of the world. And that's what you felt because Travis pointed it out. The back, because they're near a little lake, a little river, sorry, a little stream, right? Stream. Mm-hmm. The back, the sun starts to break through the clouds and starts to fill up the landscape almost. It obviously goes back to cloudy because they're still in the middle of wintertime, but it breaks just enough in the background where you're like, that's where it hits again. They're beyond the edge of the known world, fighting each other. One is going to walk away. Only one can.
I was surprised because that was a far away shot, and then it cut back to close to them fighting, and I was surprised it still looked consistent because I was thinking, did they just shoot this?
And they got lucky.
2 days, or did they have that second camera ready? It's like, all right, the sun's getting closer. Let's go.
Or they just got lucky during it. They just got lucky, and then Alejandro's in the back just doing the hand motions of go, don't fucking stop. Because, I mean, this is now just me going into... You could say this is me now going into too much detail, nitpicking, but you see Fitzgerald, Tom Hardy's eyes quickly go to the right, looking off camera. To me, I'm like thinking like, oh, that's where he saw Alejandro going, go, don't stop. Because it was such a great scene. And then Glass is about to make the killing blow. But what was cool is Fitzgerald says to him, like, okay, you had your revenge. You had your fun, your revenge now, Glass. Ain't gonna bring back your boy.
All of this for your revenge.
Yeah, ain't gonna bring back your boy. And he's like, and Glass realizes a little bit, he's like, yeah, you're right. I still want you dead. And he looks up. The Pawnee tribe has caught up with them now. And then hitting on, basically repeating what the Native American man he ran into, saved his life, said, revenge is in God's hands. So he pushes him into the stream. The stream takes him over to the Pawnee. Pawnee scalp him and kill him. Fitzgerald's dead. And that's it. The Pawnee now start to walk up to Glass. They start to walk up to Glass, right? Glass is like, okay, this is where I die. At least I got my mission done.
And then you see the daughter on the horse right behind the chief.
Chief's daughter.
The one he rescued. And you're like, oh.
They just walk past him. Don't offer him help because they don't like the white man, as they said. But they let him live.
You survived this long, you can handle
it.
And
then what was cool, now that Fitzgerald... Sorry, I keep doing this. I'm sorry, folks. Glass's mission is done.
We like calling by the characters, because we call them by the actors. That makes it seem like we weren't paying attention.
Glass starts to travel on, and he sees his wife. Now, obviously, he's seen his wife so many of his hallucinations, but now he sees his wife not in the hallucination as he's just walking around, and he just sees her right there. And I think that is what Travis and I were talking about, is to show that since he completed his mission and he's now has no purpose in life because his son's dead and now he completed his revenge mission, he got to see her in all her beauty, the beauty that he knows her by, what made him fall for her, basically.
Yeah.
And then he looks at the camera. He breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah, he looks at the camera. I was like, oh, yeah, this is weird.
And he says to his eyes, oh, yeah, crap. What now? What do I do now?
Like you just
And the
hear him
movie.
breathing, and then
Yeah, and the breathing continues with the end credits.
the main credits roll before the actual credits roll up. But you hear his breathing still, and
And
I'm
he
wondering
just
like,
said, yeah.
does he die after that
Yeah.
or what?
And I
But
think,
it's kind of ambiguous.
and we were talking about, which is, I love those ambiguous endings. And I think this one shows that he dies. We don't know if he physically dies or not. Probably does, because once again he's got more wounds and he's out in the middle of the wilderness. They lost the horses during some gunfire. I think that shows that that's the end of him as wanting to go on living. He might give not he might not try to make it back to the fort. He might just give up and just die there. That's the I think that shows that's the end of him living in a sense of purpose, because now that the only thing that he had motivating him is done, there's no point in going on.
Yeah.
He got to see, like I said, he got to see his wife in all her beautiful glory, the beauty that is her in her essence. That's it. I think I think it shows that he's going to die soon because he has no purpose in life. And there's always that in films, TV shows, and in books, when they hit on the fact of a man not having any purpose to live, we usually see that character get killed or die in some way.
Yeah.
And that's what this hits. Not showing us the death, but as an audience member. And so overall, like I said, with the technical stuff that it did just pull us out of the experience. We say this was a good movie, huh?
Yeah. I kind of wonder if it didn't get nominated for screenplay because there's not too much dialogue. I mean, there is dialogue.
But it was more of watching what they're doing.
And, like, the closest to anything, like, really interesting with the dialogue might have been that story, or it could be the Native American talking, of which, they probably would just need, like, I don't know, a translator for that.
Yeah.
And Inarritu did co-write the screenplay, but I kind of wonder if the stuff he wrote was more like what people were doing, more action. I wonder if, because like there are some directors that write screenplays or that get screenplay credits, like Stanley Kubrick and stuff like that. But I think they do it more as to like outline how the direction is going to be done.
Okay.
Whereas Quentin Tarantino or someone like that is more focused on dialogue, and I think those get more attention in terms of awards for screenplay nominations, in which what was written in the exact script.
Because yeah, okay, I get what you mean. So yeah, I guess that's why I didn't. That makes sense. But yeah, overall, I don't think it was that great, groundbreaking, and phenomenal. Obviously, the bear mauling scene was innovating in itself because that has never been captured before because it was so good and realistic.
Really good.
Everything else was great, but I just think it was a good movie, a solid good movie.
Very good.
Yeah, very good, and I really recommend it to everyone to go see. All right, what would you say, Travis?
Yeah, I mean, it's very violent. I think,
but more like gory violence, like brutal violence, not just like bang bang shoot. Like really, people are hacking and slaughtering each other. Like the worst. Like this is some brutal stuff.
I was worried I would like get sick in the theater, but because I've heard like the stories of, people walked out of the movie at Sundance Film Festival because it was just too intense for them. And I don't know, maybe because I was prepared for that, it didn't bother me so much. In fact, when we're thinking about like, he doesn't have much to eat. You know what? It's almost dinner time. I'm kind of hungry right now. You see like the raw meat, I'm like, I could use a steak right now.
Literally, him gutting the horse and then eating the raw buffalo meat. I wanted a steak. Steak. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
But
like
still, that might not be for everyone.
Like we said, that this was a good movie, and we want to say thanks once again for everyone joining us here at Combo Number 2. We really love what we're doing here. We love movies. We know you love movies. That's why we're doing what we're doing. So we wanted to say just thanks again for joining us for episode 2.
Leave a comment if we got the name Bridge or Pritchard wrong.
Let us know, please. And also,
we're going to check IMDb, and one of us is going to be embarrassed.
I know, right? Yeah. Place your money where it's going to be. It's going to be. But also, too, leave a comment and tell us what's the next movie you want to see that's coming out. And also, too, for our next Throwback Thursday, let us know. Like I said, we're here for you. We're here to talk about movies because we all love movies here. So, once again, I'm Tom Flores.
I'm Travis Baker. Follow me on Twitter and subscribe to my channel on YouTube, Musical Note XTR, for both accounts.
Yeah, check out his channel, guys. It's really good. I love it, Travis. Really great work what you do. So,
Thank you, Tom.
thanks again here for comment number 2. Catch you the next time. Bye.
Bye.